Oh, I don't know.
Very natural. No, you're doing terrific.
What time? What time is it? I forgot my watch.
It is 3 o'clock.
It is.
Yeah. What time do you have to
We'll
come?
move along.
Pardon?
We'll move along. So you get to.
Okay. We were supposed to go somewhere else as well.
We're rolling anytime, Hillary.
Okay. So how did you adjust when you came here, Maury?
Once I got driving, I was fine. The hardest part was when I first started driving. On the other side, it's the other side of the road from home. The intersections, I could never figure the intersections out. I'd be trying to go the wrong way, turning on the intersection. So, but once I figured that one out, I was fine. But after that. That was okay. Once I could go out and do stuff and, start, having some freedom, it was good. But for the first nearly 2 years I was here, I lived in, so I didn't get to meet a lot of people, and first year and a half. So I didn't get to know a lot of people, outside. I came down here, somebody came over, an Irishman came over. He was from Tipperary, he was like an old man, and he knew someone in the family, and he came over and he told me about the club here. So I did, and he told me to get an application, and he'd sponsor me, and he told my neighbours who lived next door to me, the old man that I was taking care of, the neighbours next door, they were members, and they sponsored me too, for the club. So, but I came down here, and my first impression wasn't very good. So
Why?
I just didn't like it. I didn't think people were very friendly. It just wasn't somewhere where I thought that I would fit in. And then I didn't come down for a long time, and then I eventually moved. The man I was taking care of he went into a nursing home, and I moved to Newtown. And then I met in Stop and Shop in Newtown. I met Joe Moran, and Joe, was telling me about the club, and I told him I was a member, and he said, come down. He said, come down tomorrow night, and I'll introduce you to a few people. So he gave me his phone number and said, if you need a lift down, give me a call. And I called him and I said I was going to go down, would he be there? And he says, yeah, I'll be down there. Come on down. And I came down and he introduced me to Peg and quite a few people that night. And then I started, when I was introduced to Peg, I got involved in Clan na Gael in the little theatre group here. And it's history from then on.
And what do you do in Clan na Gael?
Well, once I got on the stage, but I had 3 lines and I nearly couldn't get them out of my mouth. So I decided that's not a good idea. So that was the first and the last time. So it was, but I help out with backstage and costumes. I mostly do the costumes. Or if there's audience participation where they have a meal or anything, whatever needs help, and I kind of jump in.
Who taught you to sew?
Oh. My sewing days were not a very good experience, so they weren't. We learned how to, you learned how to stitch and that when we were kids, like at home, but we learned how to sew at school. You had, your home economics class, but I wasn't very good at it. I was really, really bad. We had to make a pillowcase, and I got the side stitched, but we had to do like embroidery on the top. You had to put your name on it, and I could not do it. So I used to, every time we had class, I'd tell her I forgot it. So this day, she got so mad at me, she says, you bring that to me tomorrow, or else I'm going to send you home for it. So the next morning, I'm running down the lane to go to school, and I was getting a lift with somebody to school. I'm running down the lane. The pillowcase falls out of the bag and fell in the cow's, you know what, and I picked it up, I stuck it back in the bag, and when I got to school, I stuck it in the locker, and I'm not gonna let her catch me today. And just as the first class was starting, she comes knocking on the door, and she calls me out and wanted to see the pillowcase, and I told her I forgot it. And then she says, "I told you if you forgot it, I'm going to send you home." I was like, "Miss, actually, I brought it, but it fell and it got dirty, and I'll bring it home and wash it and bring it back tomorrow." She says, "Let me see it." I showed it to her anyway, and I was standing outside the staff room door, and she picks it up and she holds it up in the air like this, and the smell of it would knock you out so much. And all the teachers were walking by. She started screaming at me. She was going, "This is a disgrace. How dare you show me something like this?" I said, "Miss, I didn't want to show it to you." But I'm afraid all the other teachers were laughing as they were walking by, but I was very red-faced. I had to take it home and wash it, but I finally got it finished. That was my experience with sewing at the beginning. It wasn't a good one. So it wasn't, but I think I figured it out after that.
Well, you do a lot of it for Klein Miguel.
So I do some of the costumes. I get other people to do it too, I don't have a sewing machine, so if there's something really big to do, I'll get somebody who, has a sewing machine can do it. But the handwork I'll do myself if it's something simple.
Now back to Stop and Shop in Newtown. How did you meet Joey?
Oh, actually, I was coming down one aisle, and I heard this Irish voice. Like I heard him talking, and I was like, "Oh my God, someone from Ireland," And I waited till he said goodbye to whoever he was talking to, and I was listening to see which way he was going to go, and he was walking this way, and I walked the same way, and I waited till he got to the bottom, and I just said, "Hi," he goes, "Hi," and he looked at me funny, "Who's this one?" And I said, "You're from Ireland?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "So am I." And after that, we just started chatting, and like I was telling you, he just gave me his phone number and told me to come down. He'd introduce me to a few people, and I guess he told everybody. He had a lot of people here, and he introduced me to quite a few of them now, who's like very good friends of mine. So I guess he was a very special person to a lot of people, So he was, but that was my first experience of the Irish Club. So it was.
Good. And what did you miss most about Ireland?
Well, I missed my family. That was one of the things. And some of my friends. At the beginning, I missed all my friends. And there's a different. Your nightlife at home, like being a young person, is different than here. I think you went to discos a lot more. And everybody knew everybody, so it was. I don't know. It was more fun maybe for someone young, going out over there than here. I missed that. So I did, and I missed the quietness. The noise here was hard to take, but I don't know.
Do you miss the food?
Yeah, well, some of the food, yeah. We were brought up on such kind of bland food, so in here, spicy food I still can't take. So I can't.
I'm thinking of your crunchy bars.
Oh yeah, there's some of them are nicer than crunchy now. There's ones you can't even get here that are even better. There's one called a twirl, and what other one's Galaxy. That was really good. I think that one was my favorite. Galaxy bar. But it's just the chocolate tastes different here than over there. and potato chips and stuff like that. That kind of food does taste different. So that's why all of us Irish go crazy when we see Irish chocolate bars or chips or something. We'll go nuts for it.
What do you miss the least?
Probably the rain. All the rain, all the time. I don't mind it some of the time, but now it rains so much. It's like it's so hard to do stuff, you know. So that is probably.
And how is life here different from at home when you first arrived?
How was life different when I first arrived compared to home?
Yes.
Well, I was on my own for a start. I was here like in a strange place on my own, knowing nobody. That was tough at the beginning, but as they say, if you can make it there, you make it anywhere. And I guess I've made it. I'm not living in the street, so I did okay on my own. I had so much family support and people over there, which I hadn't here, so that made a big difference, you know. So, but now I've made so many friends and people. It's like a little community here too. It's, you know, you're like one big family here as well. Now, and I find the Irish here tend to stick together and help each other out a lot. And if they've, like myself, there's a lot of people here that don't have family either. And I think we kind of become each other's family because we come from the same background. We know where we're coming from, and we know what it's like to be here on our own. So we're here and we support each other. I think that's really great. So it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. How did you keep in touch with your family and friends back at home?
When I first came, I used to be brilliant at writing. I would write every week. I'd be writing to someone or other. But I'm afraid I haven't wrote for the last 2 years, so I got really bad at writing. But when I first came, I used to write to everybody. And then I got myself a cell phone. And I'm afraid it was a curse because I never got off it then. So then you called everyone.
Do you strictly call?
Pardon?
You sometimes text message people
I
too,
text
don't
as well, yeah. Some of my friends text me as well. We text each other. But I've got to call my sister actually because her birthday's tomorrow. I've got to call her today. But that's mainly phone and texting.
Okay.
You know.
What is one of your fondest childhood memories of home?
Wow. Is it something like something we done as kids or?
Something that just stands out for you. You know, earlier you were telling me about your cookout with the eggs. I mean, maybe that was a fun childhood
Oh yeah, that was
memory.
something we done. Actually, one time I loved horses, and my uncle had horses. We had only wild ponies, which we didn't ride because you couldn't catch them. But my uncle used to bring us up and let us ride the horses. Every Saturday we'd go up and ride them. That was something that we really liked doing. Also at Christmas time we went out in the Wren, which was St. Stephen's Day. It's the day after Christmas. We went out in the Wren boys and we dressed up, and you went from house to house and sang carols, and either they give you money or something, but every house we went to, they give you a Christmas cake, an orange, and I hate a Christmas cake, and I'd be trying to pawn it off on my brother, but he'd be so stuffed from eating so much of it, he wouldn't want any either. So we'd start hiding the Christmas cake, like down behind the chair or something, so that because you couldn't insult them neighbours by saying you didn't want any, you know. And you couldn't say you didn't like it, you know. So I used to stick it down behind the chair so that they wouldn't see it, but I'm sure they found it after. We got from house to house. The last house was always my aunt and uncle's. We got as far as there, by then it'd be nearly dark, and they used to leave us home, so it was a couple of miles away. And my uncle, what he used to do was he'd always had sweets. He would throw them up in the air, and let us all dash for them, to get them, and whoever, was quick enough got the most. But that was a nice childhood memory too. I used to do that.
Good. That was my next question. Actually, was holiday memory. So, okay, shifting gears. How has Ireland changed since you came here?
Oh, it's changed a lot. Everybody now they're buying their homes very young. People are buying houses. Houses are getting bigger and bigger. The whole landscape is all changing because of there's so much building going on. Our town, where I come from, is like 3 times the size it was since I've left, and that's like in 8 years. It's like 3 times the size. But I find that even though there's so much houses been built, they're not building enough shops, or they need they need more shopping areas, like a big shopping centre or something, to accommodate all the new houses that are going up. But it's unreal. Places that were bogs are filled in now, and there's houses going up in them,
How about prices?
It used to be the pound, and now it's changed to the euro, and some things have got very expensive. So the cost of living has gone way up too. Household stuff is very expensive. So there's certain things that are really expensive now. But everybody seems to have new cars and new houses, and I guess there's a lot more. There's a lot of jobs, but it's got very technical now. Everything is very high technology over there, which it wasn't years ago. It wasn't before I left, even. It wasn't. So that's some of the changes.
How about the people? I know you've mentioned there's a lot of diversity now.
Very much so. There's, since the euro all changed, and the European Union, like Ireland has so many immigrants now. You've got a lot of African and Nigerian, mainly, Latvian, Russian, Polish. It's not all for the better. Like, some of these people are living off the government, so they are, and they're being accommodated with new houses and everything. While people who were born and grew up there are not getting that support, They're taking over a lot of jobs too, but we did the same when we came here, I guess, There's a lot of high crime rate. Crime has gone way up. Drugs is very prevalent. It's really unreal. When I was growing up, there was hardly ever any mention of drugs at all, and now it's got really, really bad. And in every community, even in small towns, little villages, another thing that is very, very prevalent is high suicides. The suicide rate is enormous in Ireland. In every area, it's not just a specific area. It's all around Ireland. And I don't know why, but it's not because it's lack of money, or, you can't name one thing that's causing it, but I've had a couple of friends of mine who've committed suicide. So,
Sorry.
but it's just that's one of the big changes too. So
Are more young people staying home now?
much more, yeah. There's not as many people immigrating here or to England or wherever they went years ago. Much more people are staying at home, and that probably accounts for a lot of the new houses in Ireland getting built up too, because people are not leaving like they did years ago. You know, years ago the oldest person in the family was left the farm or the land, but now even if they're not left the farm or the land, a lot of people are leaving each kid a site of land, so they have somewhere to build a house on. And like I said before, there's no, like, people are not making money in farming, so everybody's out there working. You know, they're working jobs. Both my brothers work too. You know.
They work and run the farm?
Yeah. So it's like that's why there's so many people staying. I think so many people stay in Ireland now rather than years ago.
How has your life changed by living here?